Here we are at the Maryburn Flow site in the Lake Tekapo region. Today we're going to survey or level in a fairly typical stilling well with an external staff gauge, electric plumb bob or internal plumb bob, and 3 benchmarks. The first benchmark is usually located nearby to get the accuracy in our leveling. Benchmark 2 in this case, with 2 further benchmarks, with at least 3 generally on site, these 2 being further away just to add a bit of stability. So benchmark 1 to our left and benchmark 3 to our right. And our legs and level is set up in between. So this is a standard builder's or dumpy optical level.
Got a level of 134.8. Write that down and then read it again just to double check, and we're all good. Yep. Firing on to benchmark number 3, and we've got 1111. Going intermediate. Just double check that. 1111. Yep. Going on to our Foresight for the benchmarks. Just benchmark number 2. 2.351.
You can also see here the RL or reduced level elevations, which you can obtain from the site's station history form. So these are the actual elevations assigned to the benchmark, staff gauge or internal for the site. So now we've leveled in the 3 benchmarks, we're going to use this benchmark 2 as a change point. So we can now shift our legs and level down to a lower point where we can shoot the internal plumb bob, the EPB directly, and also the staff gauge directly back onto this benchmark 2. So we reshoot benchmark 2 to get the difference in levels from the 2 benchmarks 3 and 1 above. So we get a reading of 0.647, which is 1.24 metre fall there. Now we can shoot directly onto the internal, shooting the sharp end, the bottom of the plumb bob. This gave us a reading of 1.911, reading off the tape above, which was 2 millimeters out from the RL. And if we swing slightly to the right, we can then read the staff gauge directly, or with a staff positioned on top of the, or at the 1 meter mark. So we've got a 1.907, which is 6 millimeters out, so that tells us our staff gauge is out. So while we're there, we've now adjusted the staff gauge with the crescent and the bolts at the back, moved it at 6 millimeters, reshot that, and we've now got a level of 1.913, which brings our staff gauge 0 millimeters out. So once we've done that, we want to close the survey and close the leveling. That means repeating in reverse everything we've done back to the first benchmark. So we move our legs and level slightly, and then reshoot, starting with the external staff gauge. So you can see our level there has moved. It's now 2.025 meters. Shoot back onto the internal, 2.024. So we can see again out the side, that's a 1 millimeter and 0 on the staff gauge. Shooting benchmark 2 directly, 0.76, again a 0 or 1 millimeter, sorry, out there, all within our 3 millimeter tolerance. And now we've moved the level back up, shooting back to benchmark 2, and then closing back onto 3, and then back round to 1 as our closing shot. So we have a 1.467 at the end, and there's our RL, which is a 2 millimeter close from where we started 2 millimeters difference,
2 mil close.
and we can see that's been recorded on our field sheet. Here's an example of a more complicated site where we have the benchmarks and EPB up the top of the stilling well, a control structure to level down with change points to a lower benchmark, further change points for direct reading onto a staff gauge at the bottom. And here we can see on the leveling sheet that you've got multiple change points. We established that the external staff gauge was 5 millimeters out. We couldn't get to it because the river's too high, but a 1 mil close on returning.